And the other thing I noticed is you guys also now use combat power, and is one of the worst things I've seen. I think I've seen it in 2, but the one that's prominent for in my memories is also closers. Because after they included that, a lot of the shit revolves around the whales or the leviathans. So there's a lot of raids where, you know, like, oh, this one costs 300k combat power, and like, oh, that's doable. Then the next one is like 600k. It's like, all right, if you get from the other ones, maybe it's still doable if you do the right substats. But then out of nowhere, it's like, oh yeah, now it's 1 million, now it's 3 million, now it's 7 million. It's like, dude, can you calm down and just do small increments? It's like, no, 10 million now. And the reason is because the substats and closers is really important, because you can have like gear from 2 raids before the current one and still beat them if all your substats are perfect. And I hate that, right? Because it's not like an Elsword where, oh, you just put gems and it's RNG. You can try as many times as you want. And closers, no, you can't. You have like 16 chances, and then you have to use this item to reset it. Except you can't just farm this item. You can get this item like events, or you have to buy it. And I was like, that's fucked up. So yeah, the problem is because of the whales or leviathans, because these guys are going crazy, and some of these guys have like 25-30 million combat power and closers, right? Nothing needs that much combat power still, I think, at least in the NA version. I think 10 is the new current. One of the guys I used to play with, he's still in closers, and he's like around that combat. It's like half of these players can't play. They're kind of shit. They don't know how to iframe dodge anything. It's just they have, you know, they paid for it, they have the combat power for it, and they're in there. Or because the raids themselves, because some of them are so fucking 20 mil combat power, they can just carry the whole team. So instead of having like, oh, here's the fun thing, it's no, one guy's carrying the other 3. And I don't know about Elsword because I'm not there yet, but I'm assuming something like that as well, where one guy is just way beyond everybody else, and each new dungeon requires another couple million combat power. At least you guys don't have item level yet, which is a whole other thing. It's bullshit. But yeah, I don't like combat power. It's a neat idea, it can be used well, but since these are free-to-play games, they have to get their money somewhere, and this is an easy-ass way to get money from them, or at least from the whales. Because you're like, well, I need to be the strongest. And now we have a number, and this number says, I have 3 mil more combat power than you, so I'm better. It's like, well, maybe you don't know how to dodge at all. We don't know. You could just be spending money at it. It's still, I wouldn't say messed up. It's kind of sad that Elsword still uses the, I didn't try it myself yet, but since one of the rewards was a +8 thing, I assume it's still hard to refine. Otherwise, I don't know why to give you a +8 scroll as a reward, right? But like in closers, they used to do that and they gave up, and it's like, well, we still have that, but even to get to +10, +10 is free, and +11 is pretty easy. It gets a little harder at +12, and then it gets, oh damn, +13 or +14 is kind of hard. And my luck sucks, so for other people, maybe +14 isn't that bad. For me, I can use like 20 of them and still not go up. It'll just stay the same each time. And I know it's kind of mean to say that, like, oh, they straight up copied from closers or from Critica or from whatever MMO that you don't know or that you stopped playing. And I would agree, but we all complained when we used to play as like Elsword guys, please stop copying MapleStory. If we wanted MapleStory, we'd play MapleStory. What the fuck? What's with these fields? No one wants these fields. At least for the beginning. And people started doing it because they give you incentives or some stuff, but no one really wanted to do it. So this will be my last point until I'll talk about like the characters themselves. These will take longer, honestly, because the first one will be Lord Knight, and I'm going to try to be level 99 first. So I have all the passives and stuff like that. I'm level 93 or something. I have to farm Atlas runs or something to get 2 lock passives, I think. And I might make videos of those because those dungeons are actually kind of fun. Not like, oh wow, these are great, but it's like, hey, it's alright. So for now, more like the downer section, I guess. Most people know that Elsword is ancient. Elsword is from like 2008, and I played in 2009, and that was like after a reboot because the maps were even, not the maps, but the towns. There was like no towns. You just do everything by buttons and you do the instances. Like everything I'm gonna say is not even their fault because the game is just old. It had a core premise that wasn't used a lot back then, and again, it's pretty much ignored now. Like no one really does that anymore. And it was simply that it's like, oh, you have this MP gauge and you increase it by attacking things, and like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like Closers had that in the beginning, and they took it out because everybody hated it because attacking felt awful. And unlike Elsword, Elsword was fun. So what they did was like, well, okay, now you just regain MP all the time. Seha gets screwed with that, but everybody else overall, it's fine, and you can spam like crazy, and it became fun, right? But in Elsword, the fun system was, well, these skills are cool, but combos are cool, and we could do flashy stuff with it. And after the flashy stuff, you have MP, and you do a big damage move. And it was a huge downtime, because like, well, now I have to build 200 MP again, or 300 MP again. And I didn't mind it, I liked it, but I know a lot of people didn't, and that's why all the pots happened, right? Except when all the pots happened, a lot of things became way tankier because now there's 4 people always MP potion all the time and spamming 300 MP skills, and they die in like 10 seconds. They're like, well, we can't have that. The boss at least has to attack a couple of times. So, okay, we're going to increase the defense or increase the HP. And now for people that didn't want to spam like crazy, now like, oh, damn, this is grindy as hell now. I don't like this anymore. So it became more like Maple Story again, where it's like, no, just keep on spamming MP pot and keep on spamming skills, and then the game's done. Except you could just take off the MP pots altogether if that's what you want to be. It's like, Closers did it, like I said before. It's like, no, now you just have a lot of MP and skills cost less. Because a lot of with Elsword is you have all these active skills, but these active skills in PV sucks ass because the modifiers are not worth it. It's like, oh, you use Rolling Smash, it's like 40 MP after Vitality or whatever, and it's like, oh, 1.4k%. Or you can just use 300 MP and do like 40k% with Double Slash. There's really never any point that you'd waste the 40 MP for this crap damage. But let's say just increase the MP regeneration, which is something we didn't have back then, I believe. Increase that by 10 or something. So now every second you're getting like 10 MP or 20 MP. And now attacks, let's just increase the attacks to like 30 MP. Now you're getting massive MP all the time. And now actives become useful again because now all the skills are always on downtime. And while you're still spamming skills, it looks more like a combo again because, well, you need these low cooldown skills to always be spamming because you always have MP now. Like I was talking to a friend of mine a couple days ago, maybe weeks by now, I don't know, after this video gets out, right? Where it's like Elsword was a thief class, but then you saw a ranger or like let's say a gunslinger, like that looks cool. Now let's go with ranger, it makes more sense. So then you have a ranger, and it's like, I want to do that. So he buys like a crossbow to be like the ranger. But instead of putting bolts, he just attaches his knife. And everybody in his party is like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, what do you mean? Knives are my thing. He's like, no, you changed your class. You can't be like, no, I want to be both. And that's what Elsword is to me. It's like, Elsword wants to be this skill spammy thing, but also keep all the old mechanics that it had before. You can't be both. Because there's always going to be people like me who want to be the old thing, but all of your game mechanics are anti that, so remove it. And the way to just keep it is to increase how much MP it gains. You're still not going to be as efficient as just skill spamming or skill pot spamming, but it's a lot less different. Like instead of killing a boss in 20 seconds, now you're going to kill it in 27 or something. Still not as efficient, but it looks cool. It's fun for these people. It's fun for me. Because otherwise, again, why would I play Elsword when Critica does that better? When Closers does that better? When Maple Story pretty much does the same as Elsword. It's like Elsword had the system to do it with, but you want to be something else. Like, I don't know a good example aside from what I do, right? So Elsword feels like this legacy program in your company that you have to support still, but no one, not even your team, but in the whole company, because they all, like half of them left that worked on that one, right? So no one has the full knowledge base of everything. So only thing you can do is maintain it and like add things around it, but you can't change, you can't rehaul it, you can't overhaul it at all. And that's what Elsword feels like, because otherwise I feel like they would change a few things. Because they took like 6 years or 5 years to get PvE and PvP to be separated in terms of skill modifiers. They just take a long time. Like they still use Internet Explorer when the first time I logged in I had to put my user and password. It's like, are you guys serious? You just didn't use the default that I use? It's like, why would you go with Internet Explorer? Like I didn't even know I had that Internet Explorer. I thought they removed it when you go to Windows 10, but no, apparently I still had it. But in the end, I still had a good time playing it. Still not really far because I keep going back and making new characters to see what's up with them. Like, you see me playing Chung a lot, or Iron Paladin, and he's a lot faster than what he used to be. And it's kind of crazy, kind of game-breaking. I'm assuming they coded new bosses differently where he doesn't get affected by the stun as much. because they're basically going in slow motion when I'm attacking them. So I was hoping like, I think it's called Psychic Tracer, it's the ad class that just does punches. And me and a friend of mine, we were like, oh, that class looks cool, so we tried it. But it takes so long for any string to happen, and I was like, dude, this should be a way faster. This should be some kind of like Ravens, like the Blade Master expand move, where it's like, it's really fast and it looks really cool. Sure, it's not effective, but we don't care. As long as it looks flashy, we like it. And I was hoping that'd be the case now, but I was like, no, these punches still take a while. Even with this 200 MP move that increases attack speed by like 20%, I feel like it's still kind of slow. And then there's like Wind Sneaker, which I didn't get far yet. I think I'm only like level 50, where it seems like 200 MP moves got a lot better. It just feels like a lot of the other characters got buffed more, where all these 300 MP moves do like 40k or 35k%, and then she's like, hey, I'm doing 20k%. It's like, damn, you suck. Maybe she's one of those support classes, but I think she only has one support skill anyway, but who knows, maybe that's enough, or she just sucks and no one uses it. Which was kind of the case when I used to play anyway. She was like the PvP class. I'm sure if I ever get to endgame, I'm just going to be burnt out again, because it's kind of my issue with MMOs now, because it's really more of a monetary thing, where when I used to play, I was like in college or whatever, I had no money, I was broke. Yeah, I worked for a bit, but that was like for things to cover my expenses. And it's like, yeah, I had nothing to play, so I play Elsword a lot. So even though these raid, it wasn't raid, I think it was like, it was Hneer and other things where it's like, well, you have to run for a month or two and then you get your weapon. And like, oh, now I'm one of the strongest guys in the server. Not really, because there's always gonna be like those 100 whales with like plus 15s and crap. I think I had like a plus 12 or something. I know I at least had a plus 11, but I think I was plus 12. And yeah, at that time, yeah, that was fun, but now my backlog is so huge, it's like, no, I'll never play something for months to get this one thing. Which I say, but I did that for fucking closers, and that's kind of why I got burnt out from that too, because all these raids was like, I ran this one thing for, I think, 2 months to get the weapon. And damn, it's kind of broken, but it's not worth those 2 months of full grinding. So next up, it'll be Lore Knight, and I'm not sure if I'll combo with Iron Paladin, I don't think so. It'll probably be one for each.